Hey guys, welcome back to Caffeine and Crime. We are still in spooky season until this season is finished out. I am so excited for this episode though. It is on the Winchester Mystery House, and if you like a good mystery and you like a crazy out there story, or maybe you feel like you have bad luck, this story might make you feel a little bit differently. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and like always, I'm showing up here with crazy dramatic makeup because these intros, for the most part, have been pre-recorded. They may all end up being pre-recorded, so yeah, I'm pre-recording them during actual spooky season, Halloween time, so all of my makeup is pretty dramatic and crazy, but I'm absolutely loving it, and I love going back through this Halloween season with you guys. Like always, if you haven't caught any of the last videos, make sure you check them out. I will link the spooky season playlist right up above for you. Every Friday, a new spooky season episode goes up. I've been a little late on some of them. I'm trying to get a little bit better about it. Just know there's a new spooky season video here every week. There's also a true crime video here every week. Right now, we're going through serial killers. We should be wrapping up on that very soon though, if not already, whenever this one goes up. But there's also spooky season on the podcast. It's the newest season that I am recording right now. It's not on YouTube, it's just on my podcast, but hopefully it'll be over here next year. But if you can't wait till then, definitely go check it out on the podcast, which is linked in the description. But again, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Let me know what you think. Jump over to Instagram at Caffeine Crime Podcast and let me know there. Okay, so today I have the Winchester Mystery House for you guys. And although I don't have a lot of haunted and spooky info for you, the house itself is spooky enough. So thank you again to the actual location. I feel like it's been really easy for me to get all of my notes together because some of these websites are like freaking amazing and I have everything I need there. I had to dig a little bit deeper for this one, unlike my last one. Make sure you guys are checking out all of them. I've done 5 other parts already, so make sure you guys check it out if you're into spooky and haunted places and you're just jumping on. Make sure you check out the other ones because they're pretty good too. And this season, the episodes are not that long, so you can grab a cup of coffee and listen to like a 20-something minute episode. Just saying. But yeah, let's jump into it. So on their page, they have the timeline and the history that I'm going to kind of bounce back and forth with. So we're going to start in 1837 when William Wirt, I don't know if that's his middle name, but bless his heart, Winchester was born in Baltimore, Maryland. He was the only son of Oliver Winchester, which was the owner of the Winchester Repeating Arms Company, which is a rifles company, the Winchester Rifle. Some cool history there. And Sarah Lockwood Pardee, Pardee? Is it Pardee? Is that how she pronounces her name? That's pretty cool. Later on, she obviously is married and her last name is Winchester, but she was born in New Haven, Connecticut in 1839. So Sarah and William get married on September 30th, 1862. In 1866, they have their only child, who was Annie Pardee Winchester, and she was born on July 12th, 1866, and she tragically died after she got sick at a mere 5.5 weeks after birth. That is so, so sad. The next we have on the timeline is 1873 when the Winchester Rifle Model 73, known as the gun that won the West, was released. And in 1880, Oliver Winchester, so William's father, passes away, leaving the Winchester Repeating Arms Company to his only surviving son, William, who was also sick and very seriously ill with tuberculosis, and In 1881, only 3 months after his father's death, he died at the age of 43. Sarah Winchester inherited William's vast fortune, and it was reportedly $20 million, nearly 50% of the Winchester repeating arms stock. Can you imagine, like back in the 1800s and getting $20 million? Like, she's set for life. So from there, we know that after her husband dies, she left their home in New Haven, Connecticut, and she moved to San Jose, California. She there bought an 8-room farmhouse and began what could only be described as the world's longest home renovation, stopping only when Sarah passed on September 5th, 1922. The Winchester Mystery House, on the site, it says it is an architectural wonder, historic landmark in San Jose, California, that was once the personal residence of Sarah Lockwood Pardee Winchester. But what remained a mystery, even before her passing, rumors of a mystery house being built by an eccentric and wealthy woman swirled. Was she instructed to build this home by a psychic? Was she haunted by the ghost of those felled by the gun that won the West? Did construction truly never stop? What motivated a well-educated socialite to cut herself off from the rest of the world and focused almost solely on building the world's most beautiful yet bizarre mansion? Sarah Winchester was a woman of independence, drive, and courage who lived on in legend. And the mansion she built is world-renowned as much for the many design curiosities and renovation. Designs were like really ahead of her time, and it is reported paranormal activity that resides within the walls. These mysteries and more are what has drawn over 12 million guests to visit the Winchester Mystery House since the doors opened June 30th, 1923. Will you be able to unlock the mystery? So it's really cool. It is like a top destination now. Nearly 100 years after the house opened for tours, millions of guests have visited Sarah Winchester's beautiful home. And I mean, it's been on the top destination USA Today, the most mystery place on earth MSN, top 10 haunted place to travel, a top haunted destination travel channel, top 10 haunted place Time Magazine, and top 10 best haunted destination US Today. So it has definitely been a place that a lot of people like to go. I definitely want to go. It's very intriguing. And I have seen like some different videos, of course, of YouTubers and stuff. So you can check it out too if you're wanting more of like a virtual tour and you want to see some people kind of go through the house. It's really cool, but it's like almost impossible to see like the whole thing because it is so big. So a little bit back on the timeline, we know that she goes to California in 1885, and then in 1886, she purchases a 2-story farmhouse near San Jose, California, that will soon grow into her beloved villa, later known as the Winchester Mystery House. And the remodeling begins. In 1888, Marion Daisy Merriman. Okay, imagine being Marion Merriman. No wonder she went by Daisy. But it was Sarah's favorite niece, moves and lives with her for the next 15 years. So that's kind of nice that she had her niece with her for 15 years. And from 1890 to 900, the heyday of the mansion's construction, when it rises from a small farmhouse to a 7-story Victorian giant. 7-story. In 1903, her niece Daisy got married and left, and in 1906, Great San Francisco earthquake damaged the mansion, the 7-story tower, and most of the 4th floor are later demolished, like completely. 1910, Sarah purchased a second home in Atherton, I think is how you say that, where she can be closer to her sister Isabel and her niece Daisy. Sarah spends a great deal of time here until her death. In 1922, it's actually September 5th, 1922, she passed away. in the big Winchester house, though. So she did pass away in the Winchester home. 36 years of construction ceases at the news of Mrs. Winchester's death. And there's actually a picture of like her grave site, and she has a huge ass tombstone that says Winchester on it. The Winchester house is sold. Daisy Merritt, Sarah's niece, inherits $3,000 from her aunt, the contents and personal possessions from both Sarah's homes, and the income from a $200,000 trust fund for her remainder of her life. So, man, she was set too. The mystery house continues, though, because in 1922, December 15th, 1922, the auction sale of it and its like surrounding areas finalized, and the property was further divided and sold because it was so big. In 1923, in April, John and May Brown leased it and its remaining grounds, and they moved their family onto it. They plan to create a park featuring Backety Back Railway, one of the earliest known wooden roller coasters, designed and initially built by John at an amusement park in Canada. Due to local restrictions and overwhelming public interest in the house, they shift their focus to opening the house to the public, and the roller coaster was never built. In 1923, the mansion is opened for public tours, and Mayhem Brown is the first tour guide. Sarah Winchester's old gardens became Winchester Park, where families can come and picnic and enjoy themselves. In 1924, famed magician Harry Houdini visited the mansion on Halloween night, seeking to debunk the paranormal stories. He leaves with more questions than answers and famously referred to it as the Mystery House. In the 1930s, the house is officially marketed as the Winchester Mystery House, and postcards were created by Frasher Photos. In the 1940s, the original water tank on top of the tank house burns and damaged the tank house as well. 1945, John H. Brown dies in June of that year, and his wife and 2 daughters continue to run daily tours and operations of the house. Mayhem Brown died in December of 1951. And in the 1960s, in honor of Sarah Winchester and her home, Santa Clara Los Gatos Road is renamed Winchester Boulevard. Winchester Park closes, and Century Theaters are built. Winchester Wax Museum opens as well. In 1963, the Winchester Mystery House is incorporated. Its mission is to continue to preserve Sarah Winchester's home and gardens, making them accessible to future generations. 1970, the restoration of the mansion and Victorian gardens began, and several rooms are furnished. A new gift shop is opened, and guided garden tours begin. In 1974, I know, guys, this is a lot of history, a big timeline, but I do find a lot of this really interesting before we get into more about it. In 1974, the Winchester Mystery House is granted State Historic Landmark status. Mansion is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. In the 1980s, first flashlight tours were given. The Wax Museum closed to make way for the new cafe and conference room. That's unfortunate. 1983, the old well house is moved 100 feet to the west, and a spacious new central courtyard is created. 1990, behind-the-scenes tour is created, taking guests through the old stables and into the oldest basement. 1996, the mansion is named a San Jose City Landmark. 2004, we're getting there. The classical statue of the goddess, one of a pair that flanked the mansion's entrance in Sarah Winchester's time, is repaired and returned to its proper place in the garden after a 60-year absence. And in 2016, the parlor hallway is restored using 130-year-old wallpaper from Sarah Winchester's stockpile. That is crazy and insane. 2017, Sarah's attic shooting gallery is created in Central Courtyard. South Twin dining room is restored using 130-year-old wallpaper from Sarah Winchester's stockpile, as well as new pieces made from molds of the old patterns. The Explore More tour debuted in May of 2017. Dozens of rooms never before seen by the public are open. Guests are allowed to enter through the front doors of the mansion for the first time, and filming begins on the Winchester movie, which I have not seen. Do I need to check it out? Have you guys seen it? Is it good? 2018, Winchester, the feature film, is released starring Helen Mirren as Sarah Winchester. And in 2019, the Winchester mystery begins Unhinged, the all-new immersive theatrical horror experience. So they're really taking it there like with the haunted and spookiness now, which I do find to be really cool. And obviously with the younger generations now, like we're all into the spookiness. Like we like the haunted stuff. So it's a good business thing on their end. Really cool. Obviously, this year has been a little bit of a backslide because of COVID. So they did have to close their doors for quite a while because of the pandemic, which is very understandable. But it is now back on. You can go visit. They have the Victorian candlelight tours, the nighttime tour. Doors are open for tickets, it says. Apparently, they also have axe throwing, I guess, on the property, which is open on Fridays and Saturdays. Sign me up. Really cool. So let's get more into it though. A little bit more history and then a little bit more on like why it's haunted and spooky. So since its construction in 1886, the property and mansion were claimed by many to be haunted by the ghost of those that were killed with the Winchester rifles. That's a lot of people, guys. So they're saying that it's haunted because of how much tragedy and how many lives were taken because of the Winchester rifles, but also the Winchester name is what they're getting at. And kind of makes sense, but there's other reasons why this is haunted as well. So as we know, when her husband died of tuberculosis, she inherited more than $20 million. To give you guys a little bit of an equivalent of that, what it would be in 2019, this is what Wikipedia says. It says $543 million. So if that is accurate, that is insane. She also received nearly 50% ownership of the Winchester Repeating Arms Company, giving her an income of roughly $1,000 per day. Mind you, this is back in 1881. Insane. That is equivalent to $26,000 a day in 2019. Insane. Can you imagine? Since this gave her tremendous amounts of wealth, she used it to fund the ongoing construction. After her infant daughter died, and her husband died a few years after that, she spoke with a Boston medium. So, yes, this is where the stories of the psychic comes in. Do we know if this is actually true or not? I'm not even honestly sure. But it is said that she spoke with a Boston medium who told her, while supposedly channeling her late husband, that she should leave her hometown in New Haven and travel west, where she must continuously build a home for herself and the spirits of people who had fallen victim to the Winchester rifles. So, in a way to kind of make her feel guilty, saying you have to keep building or tragedy is going to keep striking. So whenever you stop building, tragedy is going to strike you again because it's the Winchester curse because of these rifles that have killed so many people. So you have to go and build a huge house, continue to build it for yourself and the spirits, the people who had fallen victim of the Winchester rifles. So that is why it's known as being haunted by them. So the history on it is kind of spooky and eerie. So she left New Haven and headed to California. And although it is possible, I mean, people are thinking that she just simply needed a change. So much tragedy had struck her. So did she really just need a change? And then when she got her change, did she just become really lonely and she didn't want to start her life over? So she decided to pick up the hobby of building her house. Some people say that since she, like it said, she was a socialite and, you know, she was popular. So she kind of just went into hiding in this house and it just consumed her. So, I mean, it does make sense that she did fall into a depression and It could have just been a hobby, but others say that she really believed that her family and the fortune was haunted by the ghost, and that only by moving west and continuously building them a house could she appease these spirits. She didn't want anything else bad to happen to her. It's very sad at the same time to think if this was true. But in 1884, she purchased the unfinished farmhouse in Santa Clara Valley and began building her mansion. Carpenters were hired to work on the house day and night, and yeah, while it became a 7-story mansion, but she did not use an architect. She did not have a planner for this. So it's kind of cool. It's all of her designs, but at the same time, it's not, because there's a lot of really hazardous spots, like the door on like the 2nd story, that if you open and you walk through, you're gonna fall outside down 2 stories. Like, it's insane. Not just that, there's so many weird things with this house. There's other doors that lead to nowhere. There's literally stairs that you walk up and you hit the ceiling. Like, it's just a stair to the ceiling. They don't go anywhere. And that's what it's, famous for too, is like the doors and stairs that go to nowhere. There's windows overlooking other rooms, stairs that are in like odd sized in rooms. Many people think that these are things that she believed the ghost wanted, and that's why she made them. An environmental psychologist that have went and looked at the place have theorized that the odd layout itself contributes to the feeling of the house being haunted today. And it very much could. I mean, I would kind of feel haunted myself if I went to a house that had doors and stairs that led to nowhere. And as we know, the earthquake of 1906, the house had been 7 stories high, and carpenters brought in mainly at that point to just like, I guess, repair damages and stuff, but it was like she had halted the repairs, and then this huge earthquake hits. And what do you think this person's going to think? Like, I stopped construction and an earthquake happened. So construction started back up again, not just to repair damages, but she was like, well, shit, I can't stop this now. I have to keep going or I'm going to be cursed. So repairs happened, and then the continuation of the just building continued. The house today is actually 4 stories, so it was never built back up, I believe, to the 7 stories. Like, a lot of it was demolished, unfortunately. But the house is also made, I want to point this out, it's made of redwood. Apparently, Mrs. Winchester preferred this wood. However, she disliked the look of it. Therefore, she demanded that the faux grain and stain be applied. And that's why, like, you don't, I guess, like, a lot of the wood in the home is covered. It says that approximately 20,500 US gallons, which is 78,000 liters of paint, were required to paint this house. It's insane. The home itself is built using a floating foundation, and that is believed to be the only thing that saved this house from the total collapse in the 1906 earthquake. And then there was also an earthquake in 1889. Apparently, this floating foundation is what saved it then as well, too. And this type of construction, I guess, allows the home to, like, shift. So it's not completely attached to a brick base. And I'm sure she had this mindset of knowing like she was never going to stop building on. So that kind of makes me think that the whole theory of her like believing in these spirits and believing that she has to keep building is true, because otherwise, why would she have a floating foundation? I don't know. It's a little strange. It has gold and silver chandeliers. It has hand inlaid I guess like floors and trim and a vast array of colors and materials. And due to Mrs. Winchester's arthritis, special easy riser stairways were installed as a replacement for her original steep construction. This allowed her to move around her house freely, as she was only able to raise each foot a few inches. That is so sad. There was only one working toilet for the Winchester. Yeah, that is insane. It has been said that all other restrooms were decoys to confuse spirits, and that this is also the reason why she slept in a different room each night. Oh my gosh, this is insane. This poor lady. The home's conveniences were rare at the time of its construction. These included steam and forced air heating, modern indoor toilets and plumbing, push-button gas lights, and Mrs. Winchester's personal and only hot shower from indoor plumbing. There are also 3 elevators. Damn. Including an Otis electric, and one of which was powered by a rare horizontal hydraulic elevator piston. Most elevator pistons are vertical to save space. Okay. But Winchester preferred the improved functionality of the horizontal configuration. Oh, man. So she never skimped on any of the adornments. She believed everything contributed to like the beauty of this house, and many of the stained glass windows were created by the Pacific American Decorative Company. Some were designed specifically for her and others by her, including a spider web window that featured her favorite web design and also her repetitive liking of the number 13, which I will get into in a minute. This window was never installed but exists in the so-called $25,000 storage room. So it's named because its contents were originally appraised at the value of $25,000. The value today is, I guess they can't even estimate it, but $25,000 would be the equivalent of $382,000 in 2019. And that's where I wanted to talk about Mrs. Winchester a little bit more. When she died, all of her possessions, like I said, went to her niece and personal secretary. It supposedly took 6 trucks working 8 hours a day for 6 weeks to remove all the furniture from the home. That is insane. And she made no mention of the mansion in her will. Appraisers considered the house worthless due to the damage caused by the earthquake, the unfinished design, and the impractical nature of its construction. But it sold at an auction to a local investor for over $135,000, which honestly is not that much at all. Like, that's all for the house? Jesus. I mean, I guess at that time it was a lot, but man, they leased it for 10 years to John and Mayim Brown, like I mentioned, who eventually purchased the home. And in February of 1923, 5 months after the Winchester's death, the house was open to the public. Today, the house is owned by Winchester Investments, LLC. And like I said, they are the descendants, I guess, from John and Mayim Brown, which is pretty cool. But I did want to mention, because I did find this was really strange, and it almost makes you believe a little bit more that she did believe in these spirits and that she was, nervous about spirits and appeasing them pretty much, was the fact that she was obsessed with certain things. Everything had to be a certain way. And looking at the design of the house, like I said, she designed everything. So in most rooms, if there's a certain design, there's 13 of them. So, if there's tiles, there would be 13 tiles. If there was a design and trimming, whatever the design would be, it'd be 13 of them. There's so many throughout the house. That's one thing I noticed when YouTubers have walked through the house, or there's literally 13 of everything. She was obsessed with 13. Even if the design looks strange or put off or odd, it was still 13. And another reason why people believe that she believed in these spirits, and she believed and went to a psychic or a medium and talked to them, and the whole theory is true, is the fact that in the heart of this house, there is a room that was blocked off. And there's actually, I think there's a secret passage to even get to it. And she didn't allow anybody else to know where it was at, or to enter, I guess, if they did know where it was at. And in this room, there was 13 hooks with 13 cloaks. And apparently, I don't know how true this is, but this is another theory or rumor. She would go into this room and put on all 13 cloaks. That's obsessive, and I cannot imagine how hot that would be. And she would I guess, meditate. And that was her quiet time to figure out what she was going to build next, plan her next build, pretty much. And it's just so crazy. Like, this poor lady, like, she spent every day doing this, and that was like her me time, and nobody in the house could find her, and nobody could disturb her. So it is very strange. And the construction just kept going and going. And when it stopped, there was a fucking earthquake. So she spent the whole rest of her life doing this. And at one point, it's really sad. Another point, it's like so exhausting, like just to think about that. But the house is apparently haunted by all of the spirits who have been killed by the Winchester rifles, but also apparently by her, maybe her late husband and daughter. So I know you're wanting the details on what spirits and ghosts are haunting this place, what stories. I know. And here they are. Here I found 5 spooky tales about the famous Winchester Mystery House. You just had to take them with a grain of salt because I don't know how much is actually true or not. But apparently, some employees who have worked at the mansion for Mrs. Winchester are said to have stayed on after their deaths. There are footsteps heard shuffling to and from Mrs. Winchester's room. Her servants, apparently, there was a spirit with black hair who was frequently spotted pushing a wheelbarrow. Perhaps that laborer is what a present-day worker encountered in the halls of fires, so named for its many fireplaces. So there's a hall, I think, of like 13 fireplaces, which is insane. And prior to the mansion opening for tours one day, the worker was on a ladder. He felt a tap on his shoulder, turned, and no one was there. The worker refocused his attention on the task. That's when he felt what seemed like a hand pressing against his back. He was still the only one in the room, but not for long. The worker got out of there fast, leaving the unworldly laborer alone to handle the job. Ooh. The next one is Sarah's sealed room. In 1906, earthquake that destroyed San Francisco also caused serious damage to Mrs. Winchester's house. In fact, she was trapped in a room. Oh no. So she was trapped in a room until her workers were able to set her free. Deeply shaken by her experience, she had the room sealed. It stayed that way until last year when the room was reopened and added to tours. That is insane. On one of those tours, a guide gathered participants in the room to explain the history and pointed out the objects found inside more than 100 years after being sealed. The guide heard a loud sigh in the hallway and went outside to bring in the straggler. She didn't find any tourists, but did see a small, ghostly form gliding around the corner. The guide quickly followed. She still didn't see anyone, yet she heard another sigh. Perhaps it was Mrs. Winchester who used the sealed room as refuge from tourists. So strange. There's apparently a surveillance video of Ghost. Okay, I need to watch this. What happens during the witching hour at the Winchester Mystery House? Strange things. If surveillance video is to be believed, take a look at the video below. Keep an eye on the top floor or balcony. What do you see at about 15 seconds in? All right, let's check this out. Okay, holy shit, you guys. So, like, 15 seconds in, you can see, like, this, like, orb or spirit, like, lurking across the balcony, and it, like, stops for a while, and then it moves back. Oh my gosh, that's really weird. And it's nighttime, there's nobody there. Oh, that's so weird. I'm going to have this linked for you guys in the blog so you can check it out. That is very strange. The next one, and you guys can read through these too, but the fourth one is what's in that photo. It says, just as unexpected things turn up on video, the same is true for photographs. The Winchester Mystery House's own public relations coordinator reports that he took several photos of the mansion in 2015. When he downloaded the photos, he deleted what he didn't need, but one caught his eye. In one window of the house, Tim O'Day spotted something. Was it a shadow, a reflection of a cloud, or something else? Visitors of the Winchester Mystery House also report taking photos with strange shapes in the windows. A few even share their snapshots on Facebook. If you visit, study all photos carefully before hitting the delete button. You never know what you will find. Okay, we gotta look at this too. So I will have this picture on the blog for you guys. It's called Hidden in the Clouds. It's kind of creepy to look at. I mean, like from far off, it kind of just looks like another like curtain hanging down. But when you zoom up on it, you see like it ends very weird. And apparently there's not a curtain there. So weird. This one they added is called Helen Mirren as Sarah Winchester. So this is the actress who played Sarah Winchester in the movie. They say that this isn't really spooky, but they had to mention it. Most of the filming was done in Australia, but Helen came to San Jose earlier that year to film exteriors. So during her visit, she told a columnist with the Los Angeles Times, "If you have made a fortune out of death, you have to pay the price, a psychological price and a spiritual price. And I can only imagine that people who make fortunes to this day by selling armaments have paused at some point, especially if they are Christians. Am I going to pay?" And yeah, that movie is out too if you want to check it out. Okay, guys, I feel like that was a lot. So, to wrap up this episode, I wanted to give you guys the facts of the Winchester house and what it is now. So, from 1886 to 1922, construction seemingly never ceased as the original 8-room farmhouse grew into the world's most unusual and sprawling mansion, featuring, get this, guys, okay, it's 24,000 square feet, 10,000 windows, 2,000 doors, 160 rooms, 52 skylights, 47 stairways and fireplaces, 17 chimneys, 13 bathrooms, 6 kitchens, built at the price tag of $5 million in 1923 or $71 million today. In-fucking-sane. So there you have it. There is the Winchester. Is it haunted by Mrs. Winchester herself? Is it haunted by her loved ones? Is it haunted by the spirits of all the people who lost their lives to a Winchester rifle? Who the hell knows? But you know what? The place is going to seem eerie and haunted if you go and if you stay, if you go on the tour, whatever the case may be. It's pretty weird, and I definitely want to go. Like I said, I will have links and pictures and all of that in today's blog, which you guys know is linked in the description. Also, go check me out on Instagram, say hi, let me know what you think about today's episode. It's at Caffeine Crime Podcast. And also, if I missed anything, please let me know. You can DM me on Instagram, and I can add it to the blog for anybody listening, and you guys can check the blog out to see if I did forget anything, and if I did, it'll be there. So yeah, check it out. If you have went to the Winchester Mystery House or you're in the area, let me know your experience, and if you're okay with it, I can also post that on the blog. But I'm really intrigued either way, even if you don't want me to share it. I would still love to know if you want to talk to me about it. But yeah, it's so, like, just the history and everything. I know this might not be the most exciting episode. It's probably been the longest one so far for this series. Sorry, it's been a little long one today. I was just talking and bragging about these being 20-minute episodes. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I thought it was really interesting. I think I'm slowly becoming a history buff. But for real though, thank you guys for tuning in and listening today. I will be back soon with another episode. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next week with episode 7.